So, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on from which part of the world are you joining this webinar. My name is Gergely Szlonoki, and I would like to welcome you, of course, also on behalf of the project partners to this very special event. As you already know, I'm going to talk about the results, the findings of the Global Wine Tourism Report we conducted last year in collaboration with UN Tourism, OIV, Great Wine Capitals, and winetourism.com. Today, I will be your guide, I will be the speaker, and at the end, I will be the one who's going to answer your questions. So it will be a kind of one-man show. Hopefully it won't be too boring, seeing only my face and hearing only my voice. I'm going to do my best. I promise, and especially I promise not to overdo it in terms of time. So the presentation itself going to take approximately 35 minutes, followed by a Q&A session. Apropos Q&A, I received from Great Wine Capitals the information that you are very welcome to ask already during my presentation questions. If so, then please write your questions in the Q&A session. There is a certain part here where you can write these questions. All right, so before I start presenting the results, let me please briefly explain the reason we initiated this project. Approximately 2 years ago, I conducted all these four worldwide well-known international organizations. And we agreed very quickly after the first meeting that there's a clear lack of reliable information when it comes to wine tourism worldwide. Of course, you can find academic papers and industry articles and whatever blogs where you can gather information, but they are mainly concentrating and focusing on 1 or 2 or 3 wine growing regions or maybe one country. They won't give you the global overview. And that was the initiating point, let's say, when we decided, okay, let's do something else. Let's create a kind of questionnaire where we can gather data from all over the world. Just use it as a benchmark or a source of inspiration or just an orientation to see how other wineries on the other side of the world dealing with wine tourism. Okay, so as I already mentioned, I'm representing here kind of academy, Geisenheim University, and then came together with these different kind of organizations, 4 different organizations. And what we created here is a kind of circle, integrating also the wine industry or the wine tourism industry, creating, again, a circle where we provided information. So what we've done is actually we put together a questionnaire. We ask questions from wineries from all over the world. They provided us information. We analyzed this data. We together a kind of report, and then we winding back or giving back to the industry. So this is how it should work. One more important information I forgot to mention at the very beginning. The whole seminar will be recorded, and after the seminar is done, probably tomorrow, you will all get the link for watch it again on YouTube. So, as I already mentioned, we created an online survey, and we managed to reach more than 1,300 wineries from many different countries, actually from all over the world. 88% in our sample, the wineries offer wine tourism activities. There is a remaining part of 12%. I'm going to talk very briefly about this 12% a little bit later on. We ask different questions, of course, the impact, the importance of wine tourism, trends, challenges, offerings, the future of wine tourism, innovation of wine tourism, so different things. And of course, we analyze these questions using descriptive statistics. But beyond this, we also created subgroups, once by origin, once by the size of the winery. And then for all questions, we compared these different subgroups. Due to lack of time, I'm not going to mention everywhere and in detail this comparison between the different subgroups, just here and there. But in the final report, you can find the information and all the analysis regarding to this. Okay, let's start with the impact of wine tourism, which is one of the main basic questions. We asked this question from this more than 1,300 wineries, including wineries with and also without wine tourism activities. Yeah, and what we realize is that approximately 60% of these wineries worldwide said, yes, wine tourism in our region is significant or very significant in terms of impact. Yeah, there is a moderate 30%, and minimal or very minimal is a little bit more than 10%, but it's a small share actually. Comparing to the other one. So this is already a kind of clear message or a clear sign that that wineries think that wine tourism is of great importance and can help even in times of troubles. As I already mentioned at the very beginning, there is in our sample we had 12% of wineries they don't offer wine tourism activities. So we wanted to know, first of all, the reason why they don't offer these activities. And then we found that two main reasons play here an important role. First of all, lack of time. Mainly small wineries, mainly in Europe, yeah. And you can imagine that when there is a family-owned winery, yeah, and a small one, 5 hectare, 10 hectare, 12 hectare, whatever. And the owners of this winery, they working outside in the vineyard. They're working inside in the cellar. They're selling the wine. They're doing other things. Yeah, and they considering twice probably whether they should sacrifice even their weekend for wine tourism activities. So I think it's logical. Yeah, I can't answer the question. I think you should, or they should try it. If it doesn't work, that they should leave it. Another main point is not enough staff. It appeared this phenomenon, especially after the Corona crisis, that the hospitality industry and even the wine industry can't find enough staff for work. Good news for this 12% and for the wine tourism industry. There's a kind of intention even of these wineries. They don't offer wine tourism activities. 1/4 of them said yes, they're gonna do it in the future. So there is an intention to start with wine tourism activities. Another 50%, actually half of their sample, said they are considering this, and only 20% said categorically no, they don't want to touch this field. So also this one, I think it's a positive result to show that there is even an extension possibility in terms of wine tourism offerings. So from now, I'm going to concentrate and focus only on wineries they offer wine tourism activities. And the first question was, what kind of wine tourism activities do they offer? And then, as you can see, the wine-related, the very traditional offerings like wine tasting, cellar tour, vineyard tour, they are the most important ones. Almost all wineries offer this, and what we realized, 70% of all wineries offer at least two of them. Yeah, so it's a core, it's a basic offering. Fortunately, it's not only this. Yeah. And you will understand why I mentioned here, why I said you fortunately, because there is also a kind of extension and offering also other kind of activities like culinary and food, different kind of accommodation, different kind of sport activities, cultural events, like digital solutions or personal experiences. And it will be interesting, this list, when I provide also the numbers. Actually, this shows how many wineries in our sample mentioned to offer all these activities. And I selected those they said, or where we had a share more than 30%. So 30% of our wineries we interviewed said yes, they offer it. For example, culinary and food. As you know, wine tourism is part of culinary tourism. And as you can see, it shouldn't be always a restaurant, yeah? With a very simple finger food from the region, whatever wine and food pairing experience, you can attract even more people to your place than without. And as you can see, 50% of the wineries in our sample offering this. Cultural events, music, art, concerts, exhibitions, whatever, yeah? We have a little bit lower share, but still 1/3 of the wineries offer this. And then please consider following. In this case, for example, offering cultural events, wine is only in the second row. You don't make advertisement and come to us and you can drink wine. No, come to us and you can experience something special, yeah? Like a concert, like an event, something like this, yeah? And then in this case, we actually sell not the wine directly, but the atmosphere of the winery. Okay, and there are also other personalized experiences like meeting the winemaker. Yeah, mainly small wineries, mainly in Europe. Yeah, they offer this this personal experience. It's very special, let's say, or private events, mainly New World and mainly bigger wineries. But also in this case, what you sell here is the atmosphere of the winery and not directly the wine. Of course, people they are participating in these private events. They are going to order wine because they are the winery. They're going to hear stories of the winery and so on. So this is an indirect wine tourism activity. And last but not least, offerings for families. So 1/3, big part of the winery started offering this. And then I think when you remember how the wine tourism offering landscape looked like 10 years ago or 20 years ago, definitely this was not part of this. Yeah. So this is something what happened in the last 20 years that wineries recognize that there is a very important target group. Yeah. Those they have children. Yeah. They won't come to you when you don't offer anything to the children. Yeah. So I think it's also very clear. Let me summarize very briefly this slide. So what we could see that there are classic models, there are classic formats, classic offerings related to wine. But beyond these classic formats, there are some innovative offerings, yeah, are rising. And with these innovative offerings, and I repeat myself again, you can attract other kind of visitors, other target groups. So let's talk about now about business, wine tourism business. Again, good news. And we were pretty happy when we found out, when we analyzed the results and found out that more than 60% of the wineries said and stated that their wine tourism business is profitable or very profitable. Okay. Another 30% approximately reached a kind of break-even point. Yeah. And less than 10% said the wine tourism industry hasn't been profitable. Well, if your wine tourism industry is not profitable, then the logical next step is to analyze your model, you're applying, try to change something, try to adapt, try it again and again maybe. And if it's still not profitable, then stop it. Especially in the name of economic sustainability, you should stop it if it's not profitable. The other question, or another point, what surprised us was the contribution of wine tourism activities to the total revenue. Yeah. As you can see here, we have an average of 25%, 1/4 of the total revenue of a winery, which is really huge. Don't make a mistake. This includes also the direct sales, of course. And I'm really happy to see here that wineries, they don't separate wine tourism from direct sales. It's hand in hand, and they are together. Yeah. As you can see here, overseas wineries, they have a significant higher share of the total revenue, over 30%, and European wineries around 10% less. Yeah. And in terms of size of the winery, smaller wineries have a higher share and larger wineries a lower share. So it means that for small wineries, especially family-owned wineries, wine tourism is even more important because of the direct sales mainly, therefore large wineries. So I'm going to show you here some statistics, some numbers related to the visitors and to their profile. In our sample, we had wineries with 10 visitors per year, just a small one, obviously. And the maximum has been 250,000 visitors. So try to find a kind of average for European, for New World wineries. As you can see here, the median in Europe is 1,000 visitors per year. Overseas, 4,000. Overseas, obviously, they use another wine tourism model, so overseas wineries. Interestingly, the tendency is in Europe increasing and overseas countries and regions decreasing. Yeah. And there is always a huge discussion, okay, who are actually the visitors? Yeah. And what you can see here, okay, this is an average counting all the 1,149 wineries we interviewed worldwide. But this average shows very well that domestic visitors are a little bit more, approximately 60%, and foreign visitors 40%. It depends, of course, very much on the fact where you conduct this survey. For example, in California, has a completely other share of foreign visitors, while in Germany, for example, all 13 wine-growing regions, we have a much higher share of domestic visitors. Let's talk about age. The golden age is still the most important one. Worldwide, golden age is between 45 and 65 years old. This is a kind of established age cohort with not toddlers anymore, but grown-up children probably. They have time, willing to travel around. And interestingly, the second place, we have a younger generation, yeah, between 25 and 45. They're growing into the world of wine and wine tourism. Again, a result that surprised us is the share of wine freaks among visitors. Here in this case, as you can see, 6%. Okay, let's add an additional 20, 25, 30% of those, they have an above average interest and involvement in wine, okay? But we can still state that there's those, they are visiting wineries worldwide. They are more the level of layman, I mean, don't knowing too much about wine, and only a smaller part or a smaller share are wine freaks, and those, they have a higher knowledge. It's very important actually when it comes to the communication, yeah, with the visitors at the winery, yeah. Because when you start talking about malolactic fermentation or oxygen management or whatever, the layman, they don't have any clue of this. This is not very optimal. Yeah, and that's the reason you should always know who is standing in front of you and who we're talking with. I'm going to talk about this later on. And there are some changes in wine visitor profiles we realized based on the results. First of all, wine education. Visitors are more interested in wine education than before. Yeah. Culinary and food. This is the second time that it appeared. Yeah. The importance of culinary food. Sustainability. I'm going to talk about this a little bit later on. Yeah. And younger travelers. This is what I mentioned already before. So, summarizing the results, we can state that wine tourism is clearly profitable, definitely. And there is a significant contribution to the overall revenue, which are good news for the wine tourism industry. So there's of course no sector without challenges, or even the wine tourism industry is facing challenges, just like wine industry itself. We selected here the most important challenges we found. At the very top, of course, decreasing consumption and economic pressure in terms of inflation, rising production costs, and all the other things. Yeah. And of course, it has a kind of correlation between changing preferences and decreasing consumption. Younger generation, they don't drink so much than the generation before. So there are huge issues and challenges actually generally in the wine industry. Mobility is also another point. Some wineries, several wineries addressed in this survey. Mobility, logistic within the wine growing region, how to reach a winery, how to go to the winery. So autonomous driving will be maybe a game changer in this field, but still then there is also an issue here. Also strict health policies, don't drink and drive, and also the anti-alcohol campaigns and so on. Regional development, as I already mentioned, missing the staff, the lack of staff, and also some of them mentioned more a middle or a long-term effect by climate change. Yeah, also very interesting topic. The next step, we analyzed the different trends, and what we've done is we selected 4 main trends. Yeah. The one is culinary and food, appeared already for the 3rd time here in this presentation. The other one is local, authentic, and personal experiences. What we can see here that fortunately, the wine tourism industry recognized these trends, and they already involved these trends into the offerings. So culinary food, personal experience is already among the offers. Yeah. What they don't offer, what is kind of trend, but it's not wineries not offering very often, is sustainable solutions, and nature biodiversity is kind of missing. Another thing is more intensive use of social media. It's not a new thing, of course, but it still remain a kind of trend how to communicate with potential visitors. So, summarizing the challenges and the trends, economic decline and problem with consumption. So decreasing consumption are the main issues, are the main challenges. And wineries try to focus on authentic experiences, food, and wine combination. Based on this, and based on different articles, scientific articles, industry articles, we created a list of different innovations within the wine tourism sector. Here you can see 16 different innovation offerings or innovative offerings, let's say. And we selected 8 of them the most important eight. The wineries said they are of great importance, highlighted with blue and highlighted with yellow, depending on the share. How many wineries selected this? And this is the summary of this. And what you can see here is there are five. They could be used for extending the offerings. Yeah, like storytelling. Also, storytelling is not a new thing, but it looks like that that it's getting even more important, especially for those they don't have so much idea, so much knowledge about wine, just to convince them a little bit easier. Food and wine for the fourth time. Yeah. Sustainability, gonna talk about it later on. Personalized experiences and education. And of course, what we can state here at this stage, that all these five different innovation dimensions could be combined with each other, because education is no education without storytelling. Then personalized experiences could contain elements of sustainability and wine and food and things like this. Okay. There is another part of innovations. They have nothing to do directly with offerings, but mainly it's kind of background support. Yeah, like using social media, as I already mentioned before, even more intensively. E-booking system. It's not a must, but it could help, especially scheduling different meetings, scheduling the day. There are some good solutions, so wineries don't have to reinvent the wheel and create their own system. There are already existing platforms like winetourism.com and others. And collaboration. Now, in collaboration, I would label it as a part of social sustainability. Yeah, collaborating within the region, not only with wineries, but also with other kind of industry sector, like the local bakery, the local butcher, and other things. Yeah, it's a huge, actually, a huge potential. What I can see here in terms of collaboration, so that you can even you can provide an even more individualized and personal experience. So, authentic experiences and digital technology, this is what we can see as a kind of innovating drivers. See. And let's take a look at the future of wine tourism. And let's start with sustainability. This is what I already mentioned several times. There was a separate question. Just want to know how important this or might be sustainability for the wineries in terms of wine tourism. And then what you can see here, there is an importance. There is a clear importance and clear orientation. Wineries, they know very well, more than 60%. They know very well that sustainability is of great importance. However, what they see as well is that from the perspective of the visitors, yeah, right now there's not a huge interest in terms of tourism. Of course, there is very important for the visitors. There is a certain part, but not as huge. But when you compare the figure in the middle with the figure on the right-hand side, you can see that within the next 5 years, it's gonna increase significantly. And then you can see here that the share of importance is very important, we're much bigger. So what does it mean? It means that that right now you won't find lots of wineries. They offer sustainable wine tourism activities, offers, things like this. Sustainable wine tourism is not a stage what you can reach. Is a road, let's say, sometimes a little bit stony, but it's a road. You have to start your journey there, and then you can walk through the different stations. not very complicated, but the main problem is, I think, in this case, is that wineries don't exactly know how to start and where to start this journey, yeah, on this stony road, yeah. We are working on a sustainable wine tourism guide or guideline, where we try to provide for all the three dimensions of sustainable wine tourism concrete measures. Hopefully by the end of the year, we will be ready and we could provide you this guideline so that you can start this way. Okay, investment. We ask the wineries whether they are invested in, they have an intention to invest in wine tourism in the near future. And interestingly, 50% of that, yes, for sure. Another 30% stated they are not sure right now. And the share of those they don't want to invest at all, this is pretty small. Also a good sign. But even better sign is that more than 70% of the wineries see that there is an increasing tendency in teasing wine tourism movement in the future. Of course, no one can see the future. No one can sense the future. Probably it's a wish or how they want to see the future. But still, also this one is a kind of good sign for us to see. Yeah. So positive outlook and more sustainability. This is what I think the future will bring. Instead of summarizing at the very end of my presentation all the findings, I created some recommendations. And the recommendations, there are 2 slides. Yeah. The first one is focusing on communication. As I already mentioned, there are 2 kinds of communication when it comes to wine tourism. The one is the external communication towards potential visitors to convince them to visit our winery. Yeah. And the other one is the internal communication when the visitors are already there at the winery. How do I communicate with them? And this requires a lot of knowledge, let's say, and know-how. Yeah. Of course, there are some natural born talents. Yeah. But if you are not a natural born talent, then there are educations, trainings. You can train your staff, like here, for example, in storytelling, in visitor management. And digital communication, or in intercultural expectations as well. Yeah. And then in order, this education, this skill development, everything for an aim to satisfy a little bit more the visitors and to push the recommendations. The other one, of course, what else? Digitalization. I assume that all the wineries, they are somehow involved in the wine tourism industry. They have a website and they have a good working social media presence. But still, it's always good to prove, to analyze the effectiveness of these things, just like an optimization of this. Online reservation system, as I already mentioned, online booking system. There's also an possible solution for the future. But what I think is even more important is customer relationship management. It sounds very complicated, but it's quite easy. Actually, the very simple form of customer relationship management is collecting data, in this case, for example, email addresses from visitors, and asking them whether you could use this for direct emails, direct communication. Yeah. Once you start collecting this, then you will get sooner or later a huge database of direct connections, and you can communicate directly with visitors, with former visitors. The other recommendations are related to offerings. Yeah. As I already mentioned, there are lots of offerings, there are trends, there are innovation and innovative offerings as well. I think there are lots of things you can learn from this. For example, providing culinary experiences, natural-based activities, educational programs like workshops, winemaking talks, and things like this, or cooperation with other local stakeholders. There is one thing you obviously won't manage it. All of these offerings, trends, and innovations offering from your winery. Yeah, it won't work because it would be too much or too many different things. But what you could do is finding a direction and combining this direction with other things, just to find new target groups and to strengthen the relationship with already existing visitors. And of course, how should I finish my presentation if not with sustainability? Here I wrote here, do good and talk about this. As I already mentioned, starting the road of sustainability is actually not very complicated. You can start only with small little steps. But once you started it, then communicate it. So talk about this at your place, at your winery. Yeah, talk about to the visitors. Present your sustainable measures, what you've done or what you're applying, and then try to rethink your offerings, your wine tourism offerings, and try to combine it somehow with sustainability, just to reach a higher acceptance and just to provide a kind of well-being for the visitors. And then with this, I reached the end of my presentation. This is a QR code for those they haven't downloaded so far the final report. Here you can find both the final report and the summary, the executive summary as well. So now I would like to invite Irina, who's going to help me to answer your questions here directly. And thank you very much for your interest and for listening the presentation. It's time for questions.
Good evening, Gergely. Thank you very much for your presentation. I think it's very fruitful and very informative because indeed the data in wine tourism is something that we need a lot. And I can already see many questions on top of the questions that I have, but we will prioritize our guests. So
Please
I will start
to select whatever you like.
I will start with the first one, and I think it's a very interesting one. What were the top tourism activities with regard to profitability? Do we have any data about the correlation of the experiences and their cost? I think the question means what activities are the most profitable?
Yeah, great questions. Great question. We didn't put these two things together. But I'm going to run another analysis of our data set. What we realized and what we analyze definitely that the share of total revenue in terms of wine tourism activities, it has a very strong relationship to the amount of different activities you offer, and interestingly, a negative relationship. So it means the more concentrated you're focusing on selected activities, the higher is the share of this revenue. So it means this is what I mentioned at the very end. Don't try to cover all the different activities you would be able to do, because it doesn't make sense. Focus on certain selected parts and combine with small other things.
Great. Thank you, Gergely. The next question, well, I am not sure whether it applies to your research, but still I will read it. Asked by a family winery from Georgia. The question is, which wine tourism platform do you recommend to be listed in order to get more visitors?
So this is not an advertisement session, but okay. Fortunately, there are several platforms. Yeah. In some cases, they don't even charge you when you are a member of this. So probably it would be interesting to start with a platform like this. Yeah, where you don't have to. doesn't have an economic consequence, let's say. Let's start with this one, and then it's always trying it out. So try it out. If you are satisfied, then stay there. If you're not satisfied, you can easily change to another one. But I don't want to list. So if you Google it, you will find lots, yeah, of these platforms. Read about this. Try to try to collect experiences, and you will see how it works, and try it out. Yes, learning by doing.
Exactly. So, well, we're getting more and more questions, which makes me very happy. So, Gergely, did you notice, of course you did, any discernible patterns between wine tourism in Europe and the rest of the world? I think you can just briefly sum up the key points of what you mentioned in the presentation.
Yep. Several times we realized that there are huge differences between, as you might remember, there was, for example, the number of visitors or the revenue contribution to the total revenue and fixed. That is, what we can say, and I think the wine tourism experts do see the situation the same way, that New World wineries they have been applying a completely other business model. Yeah, they started, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago. Yeah, and then they started from the very beginning, so that not the very basic offerings, but the extended level of offerings with food and wine, with accommodation, charging from the very beginning, even for a tasting and all of the other things. Yeah. So, and in Europe, the development has been completely another way. Yeah. In Europe, wine tourism is a tradition of, I don't know, more hundreds of years. Yeah. And then sometimes when someone is knocking on your door and you open the door, especially small wineries, and you invite this spontaneous visitor or visitors, give them a little bit wine and things like this. So this is actually the traditional form. And I think nowadays even the European wineries recognize that why not extending this scope just to reach also other people and make it a little bit more professional, things like this. So this is my feeling, what I realize. But when someone gets this final report or even the executive summary and go through to this, will find several other points when there are differences.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And another question, do you have any more data on the nationality of wine tourists?
No.
So far we don't know. Well, but from the experience.
But okay. So I'm trying to explain this issue. I think it was already challenging for the wineries to answer the question, local visitors or domestic visitors or foreign visitors. Yeah. And of course, could have asked as well the nationality of the foreign visitors, but it would have been a little bit more complicated. Actually, we could do this when we interview visitors of wineries, and not the wineries itself.
Yeah, that's true. I completely understand that it's impossible to have all the answers to all the questions, but it's great to get the feedback from the audience, and at least
definitely.
to understand what people are interested in. All right. Then another interesting question is, I will just cite it. Probably it's going to be easier for me. My understanding is that wineries are planning to grow their wine tourism activities, but are more people visiting? What is the projection of future wine tourism as a whole? Are visitors increasing or decreasing? And how does this vary by region?
Okay, so it looks like that there was a slide with one figure. And this figure, we asked wineries how do they see the future of wine tourism? Growing tendency, stable, or decreasing tendency. And more than 70% said increasing tendency. So, of course, it it depends on the region of the country, whatever, and on the winery itself. But how the wineries right now to see the future of wine tourism is very positive. And this is a point where I said, okay, I don't know where it will be the future, but at least this is what they do hope. Yeah. So they were very positively tuned, the wineries.
All right, good. Another question which is also interesting. What was the response rate from the companies surveyed? Was it easy to get responses?
We had actually this consortium had a great advantage, and we used this advantage that big international organizations stand behind with this. So, I mean, Great Wine Capitals, winetourism.com, OIV, UN Tourism, and even Geisenheim University, they have a kind of very stable and solid network. Yeah, we use this network. Of course, several times we send out a reminder and made advertisement for this survey. But I think with 1,300 respondents, we did a great job, and I'm pretty sure because we are planning to repeat it not this year but the next year. I'm pretty sure that we're gonna break also this record.
Great. Dag, I saw a couple of questions regarding the human resources. I will go with one of them because I think it's also a very interesting topic and not so obvious. Regarding professional talent for working in wine tourism, what are the main skills that will be in demand in the coming years? How can wineries attract, develop, and retain their teams?
Yep. Okay, as I already mentioned, they are natural born talents, so that it's easy. You have just to recognize them. But of course, I think the main point is the communication. How to communicate with people, how to understand what people are standing in front of you. Yeah. So, and then depending on this, creating your communication, changing your communication. Of course, intercultural issues. What pretty interesting, especially in regions where not the domestic but foreign visitors has a higher share, or they have a higher share. Languages, for sure. Yeah, I think this is of great importance. And entertainment in terms of storytelling. And this is also a very important point. I several times had a meeting or had a visitation at a winery, and several times recognized that the guide person, they give guide this tour. They had a kind of standard text. They learn it by heart, and they repeat it 50, 60 times a day. Yeah. And it's not only for me, but also for him. Or for him or her was boring. So this is this flexibility, again, depending on who is standing in front of you, being able to change the things. And then for this, there are seminars, there are education. So I think it could be managed.
Yes, I very agree with you. Absolutely, especially regarding the last point of the storytelling. And I would also add maybe adaptability to the level of knowledge of a person who is visiting a winery, because sometimes if you are quite knowledgeable and the guide tells you about very, very basic things without adapting to your level of wine knowledge, it may be a little bit, well, maybe not boring, but at least not that much entertaining.
Exactly. Yeah. Depends on the level of the visitors.
Yes. Well, and we have some questions that are not literally linked to this survey, but since you are the professor and you have a lot of data already, maybe you can deduct some answers from this.
Let's see.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see. We cannot promise anything. Has there been any studies that you know of wine tourism numbers and marketing on wine brand? How much has it impacted on their wine sales? So how I understand the question is that how much wine brand impact the wine sales, if I'm correct?
Yep. There are several studies, some academic papers. If you want, if you are interested in it, just easily Google it in Google Scholar. So Google Scholar is specialized on academic papers. There is also an interesting question and issue, and thank you for this question. How create, for example, a brand can or cannot influence the amount of visitors. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know, Francis Coppola or the big wineries, the big names. Of course, there are people, they are crazy about this and they want to see it, they want to visit it. Yeah. And but it doesn't mean that only these wineries had chance in a wine tourism bird, because on the other hand, there is a so-called, what I already also presented as so-called personalized authentic experiences. And these personalized authentic experiences you can get when you visit smaller wineries. So there is no limitation in this field, and brand is not the only factor that can impact the visitors.
Yeah, this is true. I agree from a personal experience as well that you can be very pleasantly surprised from small properties because they can
Definitely.
really cater to your needs. Another question. Are all the wineries in this research belong to, I think what is meant here is PDO, or they don't have any particular denomination of origin? It was not the criteria for your research to have a winery that belongs to a PDO.
No, that was not a precondition. What the only thing what we asked them, so there were two things we asked. Of course, the country, and we asked the wineries also about the region where the winery is located. But it's, of course, some of the region, they are part of the PDO or PDS or whatever, yeah. So the certified denomination, or even not, yeah, because they are when you find I don't know, there are wineries in Denmark and even in Sweden. So I don't think so they have the denomination, and we had some of them participated also in our survey. So that was not the precondition.
All right, good. Next question is regarding bookings, but I think it depends on a country actually. Do you have an idea how the wine tourists book? By phone, by email, by reservation system, and how long before the visit? Last minute, a few days before visiting, or even weeks?
So please allow me a provocative question back. Do they book? I don't think so. They just, so my experience is, of course, when your whole business model is linked to this booking system and things like this, then it works pretty good. And when the only way to get and to visit the winery is through a booking system, that it's fine. But I think especially small family-owned wineries, they don't have this booking system, and people are spoiled. I mean, the visitors are spoiled, and just as I already mentioned, knocking on the door and hoping that they could get in. They let get them in. So, but if someone is booking a wine tourism experience or experiences, yeah, then it's in advance planned wine tourism experience. Is very very important to mention. This is not a spontaneous decision. Yeah. So I think in this case we have to do with the visitors with let's say a higher above average level of involvement. Yeah, in this case it could be because these are somehow related. It doesn't mean that not involved people or laymen or they won't book an experience like this. But again, advance booking is something special. It's getting more and more also among the not wine experts. But I think we are at the beginning or at the middle. It hasn't reached so there is still room for improvement.
For sure. Um, all right. Did you have any further regional breakdown under the rest of the world category? Europe and the rest of the world. If we go in the rest of the world, can we single out some particular countries in this survey?
Yeah. In order to compare certain parts of the world, we definitely need a certain amount of respondents. And the easiest way was to compare new word with old word or old word with new word, yeah. And then going even deeper or digging even deeper, it means that the sample size is getting smaller and smaller. So that was the reason but we have and we had. We have respondents from more than 40 different countries. So they're a huge, colorful, heterogeneous pattern, what we had. Obviously, we had Italy, Germany, France, Spain, and yeah, more or less these four countries where we received the most answers. But also other countries they have had enough. But when it's less than 50 or 60 or 70 cases per country, then it's quite complicated to compare it with the rest of the world.
Yeah, that's understandable. You cannot defeat the methodology. It has to be
Yeah, exactly.
followed. Well, I think maybe we will gradually start asking the last questions.
Yeah.
And one of them would be, are there any cultural differences between the countries in the way this service and tourism is delivered? I think it echoes a little bit the question about New World and Old World wine tourism activities and products, but maybe one more time, focusing on the differences between the countries and in the service.
Yeah. So these last questions show me that there is a huge interest in intercultural
It is. We have 15
differences.
more.
Yeah, yeah. That's fine. Of course, there are differences, and the differences are based on cultural differences. Yeah. So you can imagine you cannot compare I don't know, a winery from Germany as the experience of Germany with another winery from another side of the world, not only from Germany, from other European. But what I think it works pretty good is using articles, using results like this as a kind of source for inspiration, yeah, and traveling around the world, even winemakers, self or wine managers traveling around the world and seeing, confronting with what was seeing and experiencing different kind of other traditions, other offerings, and things like this, and then bringing them home. And so this is how you can create your own landscape of different offerings. But of course, there are lots. Yeah, some regions and even regions, not countries. Yeah, some regions they are very proud of their meat or fish or seafood, and then combined with this, and others they are very proud of their landscape and combine landscape with this or a river or a lake or whatever. So there are different offerings, of course.
Of course. Well, and I will let myself to ask a little bit more personal question because I assume as a researcher, you definitely had some assumptions, maybe some hypotheses, some expectations regarding the data that you could probably receive. I would love to know whether you were really surprised with some findings. Maybe you thought that you would get one result, but in the end, you got something different. Maybe the experience shows one thing, but the data confirms another thing. What were your surprises in this work?
The highlight was definitely the small share of wine freaks, of high-level wine experts among the visitors. It surprised me very much because I expected something more. But it seems like, and I think it's a positive thing that wine lovers they coming anyway. So under the motto, yeah. But it's more complicated to convince not wine lovers to come to your winery, and it looks like, it seems like that it works, and I'm really happy about this. The other one, which I think it's everyone had this feeling probably those they visited already New World wineries and Old World wineries, that New World wineries they have a higher contribution, or wine tourism at New World wineries they have a higher contribution to the total revenue that the European wineries, and this is also again due to another business model and how they build up the wine tourism business. So if you would, and the third one, if you allow me another last,
Absolutely.
has been sustainability. Everyone is talking about sustainability, but in our survey and in our survey as well, but it seems like that people are not. We can say that almost there, yeah, and people are not there, and they still, I mean, wineries, they still need time to establish sustainable wine tourism elements, measures to their wine tourism business.
All right. Well, thank you very much for answering so many questions. We have a lot of gratitude and a lot of thank you in our Q&A chat. And they did it a very big and very impressive work. Maybe like you brought up the question of the sustainability. And we know that it's a very important topic now in the wine tourism and in the industry in general, and everyone talks a lot about that. I am wondering whether from the survey it is clear how wineries make distinction, or what do they do particular to satisfy different concepts of the sustainability, the economic one, the environmental one, the social one. Can we say something about this from the report? Do they focus more on the ecological sustainability, for example, or more into giving to the local community?
Okay. Yeah, from this report, so the results and the findings of this survey cannot answer this question. But we conducted 3 years ago a sustainable wine tourism related question, and then we just publish the results of this and publish also another sustainable wine tourism related survey worldwide. And then what we realize is it's not like so normally when it comes to wine production, then the environmental aspect and the environmental definition or the dimension of sustainability is much higher or more important, much more important than the economic or the social. In terms of sustainable wine tourism, they are more or less on the same level. This is one point. One is actually pretty interesting and exciting. The other thing is we always try to separate two different things. And these two different things are sustainable wine production and sustainable wine tourism.
Exactly.
No way to separate them. They are like this, yeah. And knowing this, you can easily communicate, for example, wine production related measures you already applied or you are planning to apply. You can easily bring it into the conversation, storytelling of your wine tourism experiences. And it works pretty good because there is, again, no way to separate these two things.
All right. And thank you very much for this final explanation. I think we are done with the webinar for today.
Yeah.
We would love to thank a lot everyone who participated in the webinar and everyone who was with us during this hour. We will send the recording of the webinar as soon as possible, but definitely this week. So stay tuned in. And Gergely, thank you very much for your work. It's been a pleasure to contribute. It was a pleasure for the Great Wine Capitals also to assist you into disseminating this survey. And we will be very, very happy to get more data in wine tourism because we need it so much.
Definitely. Thank you very much to all the participants and Irina for asking the right questions. Thank you.
Goodbye, everyone. Have a good day, evening.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.